To begin with, let me read a verse in Isaiah 55. In Isaiah chapter 55 and verse 8 and 9. This is what the Lord says: my thoughts or my way of thinking is not your way of thinking. And your ways are not my ways. Your way of doing things is not my way of doing things. And if you want to know the difference between your way and my way and your thoughts and my thoughts, it's here. As the heaven is higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts are higher than your thoughts. So the way we think is not the way God thinks. And the Christian life is a growth into thinking more and more like God thinks. You know, we take actions based on our understanding, right? Children act without understanding, but as we grow up, we act on the basis of understanding. We don't just do something without thinking what are the consequences or what are the result of it. So if our understanding is not in line with God's way of thinking, we're going to do a lot of wrong things as a Christian. The world may accept it, but we'll make a mess of our life. If you want to live the most useful life you can ever live on the face of the earth, you must align your thinking more and more with God's thinking. The devil doesn't want that. And that's why he has succeeded in preventing many of you from reading the whole Bible. You know who's done that? The devil. Because there is no book in the world that describes God's way of thinking than the Bible. And if you read through it casually, or if it's not as important for you as your books for your profession, okay, so be it. It's exactly like that. You know, a person who doesn't study for his profession is not going to do well in his profession. Think how hard an engineer or a doctor or a teacher studies in order to prepare for their profession, and it's all to make money, in order to survive in the world. A true Christian will study the Bible exactly like that, because he knows that in the long run, even if he doesn't make much money in the world, the way he lives and the choices he makes in his life in different situations is going to determine his eternal destiny. Not just whether I go to heaven or die, or hell rather. I'm not interested in that question, because that's already settled long ago in my life and in many of your lives. My question is, when I get to heaven, will I have any regret about the way I lived on this earth? And I'm convinced that millions and millions of believers who do make it to heaven are going to have regret about the choices they made on earth, about the way they lived on earth. And I personally believe that regret will be there for eternity. How are you going to get over it? Because Jesus said, take up your cross and follow me. And supposing I didn't do that in all my life on earth, I just sort of accepted Christ and lived a fairly decent life and just attended church regularly, never took anything seriously, because I just wanted to go to heaven. And my main aim in life is to get on in the world. And okay, I made it to heaven. But the memory of my life on earth will keep coming back to me. And I can't believe that will not bring any regret. When I see Jesus and how much he loved me and how little I loved him in return, how little I sacrificed for him on this earth, you think that's not going to bring any regret to me? It's bring tremendous regret in my life when I see Jesus and I say, boy, how little I sacrificed for him, how easily I complained about little things, how easily I fought with God's children for little things, how much I sought my own. So if we understand God's ways, it makes a big difference in our life. So God's ways are different from our ways.